Hey there, my name is Chris, and for the Ethical Global Hackathon, me and my friend Brian put together an app called Primechoice Select. Now, what Primechoice Select is aiming to solve is that there are a lot of invoicing platforms that exist for merchants. You may have heard of a platform, Invoicely, you may have heard of Stripe, but the problem with this is that, well, one, they're limited to a lot of fiat currencies, and two, they trim off the top on every single transaction. And so what we wanted to do is enable merchants to use Ethereum or a layer 2 network to invoice arbitrary buyers for different types of payments. Now there's two main actions of Primechoice Select. There's requesting, which would be used by merchants, and what ends up happening is a smart contract gets deployed with a certain memo and balance to be paid, and this could be a subscription or a one-time payment. And then there are senders or payers that given a particular URL, can pay a contract and engage in that transaction with the merchant. So there are a couple of ways you can log into the app. The first one is Torus. Now I just want to show you a quick way of how that user can log into the platform. And you can see that it connected to my account. I'm on the Robson network and I have no balance. The alternative is that I can use the Metamask platform to engage with this smart contract. And so I already have a balance set up. What I can do is I can actually request a payment as a merchant. Recurring payment for SaaS platform. Set the fee. Now I can either do a one-time purchase or a subscription and set the rate of payment. I'm just gonna go ahead and do a subscription so I can leverage layer 2. You can use any currencies you want, and we'll see in a second. What Primechoice Select does is it aggregates a list of fees using ZkSync, and as well as Tellor and Chainlink on the smart contract itself, depending on the payment, to determine what's the most appropriate for a given transaction. Now I'm going to go ahead and deploy that contract. And so this URL is the URL that would be shared with the buyer. And so I think if we look at Metamask here, it should be pending. Let's see if I can view that particular contract. What happens is I get prompted for a particular address. So if anyone goes to send, they can enter the address of the invoice they want to pay. Click next. We can see the details of that contract that I just deployed, as well as the details and the information, as well as the supported tokens. And I get taken to a payment screen. And so as the buyer, I can actually start the payment. And what we do is we connect to their ZkSync account, enable the user to select a token, and based on the tokens that were allowed, we dynamically pull a quote of all the different prices and determine whether or not they should be paying with a given currency to minimize the fees for the payer. So if I use ZkSync, I can go ahead and deploy it to my layer 2 network, and then once that's done, I can then submit the recurring payment via Ethereum or whatever token that was chosen to be the best price. Lastly, usually don't show code, but I want to walk through some of the Cairo programs that we wrote. Now this program is fairly simple, but it iterates over all the tokens that come into a given merchant's requirements list and determines which is the cheapest. And then there's a simple proof that gets performed. And we essentially take the minimum and we yield the minimum, and that gets outputted as a smart contract drop. I'm not going to demo all of that, but this essentially gives a proof that the token selected by the app was the cheapest at a given time. Now that's pretty much Primechoice Select, and thanks for your time.